Have you ever considered that you can bind your own booklets or notepads? I'm Jan Howell, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how you can bind a notebook or a booklet using a simple saddle stitch. It's a really easy thing to do when you want to make a booklet, but a stapler or even a sewing machine, what I usually use, is not going to cut it because you have so many pages and thick pages. This saddle stitch is a great option, and once you make one booklet, you'll want to make a bunch. Of course, these booklets can be made in any size you want, and it's a fun little project. Let's go over the things that you'll need. You'll need, of course, your paper. You can use regular text weight. You can use cardstock, and for the outer cover, you can use a thicker piece of paper. This is just oak tag. You can use printed cardstock, whatever you want. You'll need something to bind with. This is simply embroidery floss, and I like using that because there's so many colors to choose from. This is hemp cording that you can use that would work really well. And I find that if I use embroidery floss, I like to run it through a piece of beeswax. That will coat the embroidery floss and make it stronger. You'll need a yarn needle or a tapestry needle, an awl, some big paper clips, or I like these clamps to hold the pages in place while you sew, and a surface that is not going to get hurt when you poke the holes in. As you can see, this is a very old cutting mat that I don't care if it gets scratched or poked. A paper cutter is nice to cut down your pages to the size that you want. You can obviously use a pair of paper scissors as well. I have used the saddle stitch to bind my planner calendar for next year. Sometimes I use a sewing machine when I'm binding my calendar, but I usually use text weight. This year I'm going to use a heavier weight paper, and this was a great option. I have cut my paper to the size that I want. This is going to be just a little small booklet for notes or something that I can throw in my purse and just take notes or draw on. You can decide how many pages you want and how thick you want it. Take the first sheet on the inside and fold it in half to mark the center line. I forgot to mention that you'll also need a ruler and an X-Acto knife or razor blade. We're going to mark where the holes are going to be for the binding. You can use as many stitches as you want, but it needs to be an odd number. For example, this has just 4 stitches, but on these smaller ones, I'm going to make those stitches a little bit closer, but I am going to use an odd number. I like to leave at least a 1/2 inch or a 1/4 inch from the last stitch to the edge. And this measures 4 1/4. So I'm going to find the halfway point, which will be 2 1/8 inches. And to be easier on my eyes, I'm just going to make a little light line with my pencil so I can see where that center point is, and then I can make sure that those dots are in place. So that is the center point. I'm going to use 1/2 inch intervals of where to place the next holes. I'm ending up with 7 holes. I'm going to take that page and put it on top and clip my pages together. Take the awl and punch your holes. Flip it over to the other side and now punch the holes from the back side. Take the thread that you're going to use. I am going to coat the embroidery floss with the wax. And to do that, you'll just hold it along the edge and pull it. Create some resistance with the other hand so it kind of digs in to the wax. I'm going to do that maybe 2 or 3 times. Single thread your needle. And you don't need to knot the end. We're going to start from the inside on that center hole and poke it through. Leave a tail about that long and bring it through to the next hole from the front to the back, and then down the next hole, and then up on that end hole. We're going to go back the other direction, going down into the next hole and down into the next hole. Back to the center. And continue to the other end. And we're going to end by poking that through the center hole again. Coming to the front, I'm going to make a few knots. Just making a loop there, sticking it under that stitch and pulling it tight. Then I'm going to do the other direction. Same thing. Pull it tight and it makes the knot. Now we're going to stick it back through that center hole and pull it so it's tight, and we're going to pull that knot through so you don't see it on the front side. We're just going to make a couple knots and do that again. Cut your string. I'm going to wrap it around that first stitch a few times. I just like to take the awl and drag the thread underneath a few times, wrapping it around that stitch. And it's waxy, so it kind of sticks to it. Take the outer cover and fold it in half, and then you're going to fold the pages on itself like that and crease it down well. You can put that in a flower press and press it down to flatten that out really well, or you can just stack a bunch of books on top. But as you'll notice, the paper is extending out past that cover, so this is where you'll take your ruler and your X-Acto knife or razor blade and trim those off. And you'll just do it really slowly, so find your edge and just slowly just start cutting that away. And it takes a bit of time, and you'll just keep doing that until you go through all the layers. To flip it over. And if you find the edges are a little bit rough, you can take just a very lightweight sandpaper and run that over the edge. But this looks pretty, that's a pretty clean cut. And if you wanted to round off the edges, you can take your corner punch and round off those corners. And you'll want to do it with the paper too, if that's what you choose. That is all there is to it. You have a bound notebook. Such a fun little project. I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, make sure you do that. Click on the bell so you can be notified when I put new sewing and crafting and other DIY projects up. You can find more of my content, patterns, supplies on my website, youmakeitsimple.com. Leave a comment in the comment section below if you have questions about this project. Have a wonderful day, have fun crafting, and we'll see you in the next tutorial.